Hey, I'm Jen Wallace, and this podcast is here to talk to business owners, and we're sharing thoughts, experience, all about culture, team connection, and leadership. I'm a change maker, and I'm here to change your business. So without further ado, let's get into the podcast. Thank you for coming today, Simone.
Happy to be here, Jen. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. House mum.
House mum.
That's you. Mm-hmm. You're leaving. I think you'll be leaving a bit of a legacy with that one. That's for sure in your life.
That's the plan. Plan is to build an empire.
An empire. Mm-hmm. Female empire. Cheers.
Yes, cheers.
I love that we're doing a bit of a champagne chat today on the couch.
This is us, though, isn't it, Jen? Like, this is who we are. And so it wouldn't be right if we didn't.
I agree. When did we meet? Do you remember?
Oh, it's been over a year now. Okay. Do you think it's been over a year?
I think it's been close to a year.
Yeah, we met because you came to me looking to be a client.
I was desperate for help.
Yes. Yeah.
And you've changed my life weekly, and now situations change at home fortnightly. And from there, our conversations were very business focused, weren't they? Because I was in awe.
Well, even when we had that initial call when we were booking you in as a client, our discovery call, we just were talking business. I just knew at that moment that you were going to be a person that I needed in my life and wanted to have in my life, because I could just feel that we clicked. And so I really have enjoyed the business chats and the friendship growing from there. So
yeah, it's been good. I remember our first date was at a restaurant. We shared lunch together.
Pizza.
And I think you were as nervous as I. It was, it's like that new friendship starting. And then also for me, you gave me some really great ideas and tips, me starting my business as well. So even though I'm a business consultant for other businesses, it's very different when it is your own business.
Yeah, definitely.
What would be some key advice that you would give for people that are starting up new businesses?
Good. I've been having this conversation recently a lot, actually, with my training academy. So starting your business needs to be having good foundations in place. So getting good financial advice from the get-go. And people don't often think about that. They're like, right, what about my business name? And what about my website? All of these things that actually don't matter. They don't matter. In the long run, you actually need to be getting your foundations set up properly. So first one is definitely get some good financial advice and get a plan in place. Like, where do you see your business growing? Where do you want it to be? And that financial advice can be with someone who can actually help you make a plan for your business. So, right, this is where I want to be in 3 months. These are the goals that I want to be hitting. And how am I planning to do that? So having structures and a plan really makes a difference in setting up a business.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you can have the creative idea like I did, but then you need some bones and framework to get there, don't you?
Because this was the thing that I didn't have when I started my business. I went in blind, having no business experience, and now 4.5 years later, I'm looking back, reflecting, going, what would I do differently? And for me, that was a big one. Definitely financial advice.
What is that? The financial advice
Financial advice was a big one. I ended up in debt, actually, with the ATO, because I grew so quickly that I didn't have correct structures in place, and I wasn't aware. I didn't know. So the first year I grew so quickly, and so looking back, financial advice was the biggest one. And also learning boundaries. Boundaries are so huge in business, right? Because we're trying to do everything. We're wearing all the hats, and yet we can't do everything. We're humans, we burn out. And then until you start building a team around you and having support, if you're a new business owner and it's just you really need to have those strong boundaries in place. So like I said, here we are 4 and a bit years later, and I've just got myself a second phone. So I can actually switch off from my business and go, right, I'm leaving the business phone at home. I'm going out on the weekend, and then I feel like, wow, that's my safe place now, and no one's contacting me on this phone to talk about work. So boundaries are definitely another huge
structure
factor.
And can we go loop back to that? You talked about the financial and the ATO debt, etc. So a lot of businesses, we talk about what's the structure. What would be one key element though for a business owner? Is it that you put away the GST component when you bring in the cash, that you put away, extra money for tax, etc.
All of those things. So I also recently discovered a strategy called Profit First. I read the Profit First book.
Amazing.
Connected with a Profit First accountant. So these things are, structuring your business to make sure you're actually making money.
Yes.
Because you can see the money building in the bank and you're like, whoopee, look how much money I've got. But how much of that is actually yours? How much of that is profit?
Exactly.
So, and profit should be number one, because if we're not making money, what's it all for? Because if you end up then everything, that BAS bill rolls around every 3 months, then you're like, I've got nothing left. And then that's a scary thought to think you've been busting your butt, which we do as business owners, then you just literally have nothing left and nothing to show for it. And you're not feeling rewarded for what you're doing.
Definitely. And that's where I found my journey. I've been connecting with other professional advisors or experts that then I will bring into my clients, you know, okay, you do need to speak to a new accountant because the one that you have isn't suiting your business, or you might need to connect with someone who can help through hardship or financial, or someone like myself that can help you actually navigate the whole lot, the strategy, the strategic part of it, the goal setting and those financial rewards.
So important.
Yeah, because I'm working with a client at the moment, and you made me think about something when we say, you know, you need the strategy, but how? And for me, one of the things I've been working with them, and they've been saying to an employee, you know, get better. Well, get better how? So what I love when I come into a business and I work with them, I actually tell them the how.
Yes.
You know, it's all very well saying you need to do this, you need to do that, but how do I do that?
Yes.
And it is
we don't know what we don't know, right?
No, that's right.
We're not expected to know everything. And yet as a business owner, we feel like we have to.
Yes.
So until you connect with those right people, the right services, the right mentors who can lead you in that direction and give you the tools that you need that you may not know.
Yeah. Who was your mentor?
My brother.
Yes.
Yeah, my brother, Corin, is very successful in the business world and very entrepreneurial. And so when I told him about my business idea, he was like, why haven't you done this before? Like, I need this in my life. And so we had weekly business chats for the first probably 3 years.
Amazing.
Where we would get together and just on Zoom because he lives internationally, and time difference did make it challenging sometimes because they were not always in the same time zone. And so just having someone that I could bounce ideas off, and he was very big on, you know, the financial outcome as well, because again, you don't want to be doing all of this and not getting anything at the end of it. So having someone that I could bounce ideas off was so valuable for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. And do you feel that now you've grown, that you've become a mentor for others
I
as
hope
well?
so. Yeah, I really enjoy doing that. So for me, if I can inspire someone to take a leap when they may have been scared to do so before, or they hear my story and they think, if she can, I can. Or if they come to me and ask me questions, they give me good, solid questions, I'll happily answer them. You know, if they want to know something, I will share, because these things we need to share to grow.
Yeah, definitely. So whilst you are definitely successful, what would be number one mistake you have made?
Well, the financial one was a big one.
All right, number two then. Okay, I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
What about number two? Like people. What about people?
Yeah, hiring the right kind of people. I spent the first year in business crying a lot because, you know, various things that you do in your business, but for me, hiring the wrong kind of people. So not like getting employment contracts in place. I didn't even have those probably for the first 2 years of my business.
Wow.
And so I had people, you know, doing the wrong thing by me. They were stealing my clients. They were, you know, leaving me and then just poaching all my clients. And so, you know, I learned the hard way on how important those things were. So definitely having the right people and the right employment contracts in place made a huge difference for me.
Yeah. And how do you keep your employees connected now? So building that culture, what do you do? What's some actual tools that you use?
So tools wise, we have a Facebook team page, and that's how we connect as a team. We share, you know, photos, videos, we talk about life, all of that happens in there as well. And we use Slack to chat more about, you know, work related questions. And so that's the way to connect. And then we try and get together a few times a year because my team is all remote. One of my Southside team members, I didn't even meet her for, I think, the first 18 months. I hired her remotely and she was trained remotely by one of my other team members. And so it was nice to meet her in person. But it's pretty exciting when you can build a team remotely, right? And then just know that your business is still growing anyway.
Yeah. And so the onboarding process for House Mum, has that evolved as well? Definitely. It would have gone from 4 years ago one way, and then you have an actual standard onboarding?
Yes, absolutely. So onboarding is a lot smoother now than it used to be.
Yeah.
I was working a lot with clients, so I'd go out and I'd handhold in the beginning, and I don't do that so much anymore. Sometimes I will still, when we've got some new people coming and I don't have sort of seniors in that area, then I will still do the handholding. But we've also filmed training videos to give them that support as well. So that way, if they're ever unsure on something or they've forgotten something or a client's given feedback that maybe someone needs to work on, we can point them back to those training videos, and it doesn't require me physically being there having to teach those skills again.
You're very innovative, aren't you? I feel like you seem to have, as I said, I'm a client, and then from a year ago to now, where do you get your inspiration? Where do you draw your inspiration from?
Because I'm always learning. I don't think that you should be repeating the same mistakes twice. And so if something happens and I'm not happy with the outcome, I'm trying to always challenge that and say, how can I do this better?
Yeah.
What's working about this? What's not working? And then at the end of the day, like, what can I do to improve on this situation so it's not a problem in the future? Because what do they say? Insanity is just doing the same thing over and over again.
Yes.
So I don't want to be like that as a business owner. That's what helps me grow and to make sure that I'm heading in the right direction.
And the direction for you, Simone?
Big goals, big goals. I want to.
You got big hag, is it?
Yeah.
Big, hairy, ambitious goals. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So the goal is for House Mum to be Australia wide, and that's planning to be that way by the end of next year. In saying that, though, I've also got personal goals like building my own personal brand, and becoming a coach and a mentor, helping other women succeed in their business, and like I mentioned briefly, the training academy now. So helping women start a successful business using their home life skills as well. I'm helping support that. So,
and how's that going? So that in that part of it, how are women finding you? Like, how are they finding out about it? Is it word of mouth or?
Yeah, word of mouth, or they've, worked with House Mum previously. So at the moment I'm working with a lot of current, like they already have a cleaning business. And so they've come to me going, I want to be like you.
Yeah.
How do I learn those skills? Yeah, well, because they come to me with questions that to me seem so simple, but I've learned them. I've learned the answers to these questions through, working it out or finding out the hard way. So they come to me now, and then I can support them and not making those mistakes. Like yesterday I was speaking to someone on boundaries. She gave me a call and said, I don't know how to say I'm not working on a public holiday. Like even having those tough conversations, they're not sure. They know how to do their job really well, but actually the communication side of things and how to run a business. And I sort of it came about because 80% I'd say of the people who leave House Mum move on to start their own cleaning business because they think, I can do what you're doing. And you know what? They're trained, like I said, really well in those skills, but they're not trained in the business side of things. So they're missing that element. So I thought rather than see that as something to be afraid of, then how about I harness that and say, well, if that's where you're headed, how can I support you in making that leap instead?
I love that. I got goosebumps then talking about it because I know we have talked about it often, and every time you do, it does, for me, it inspires me also that it's not just, looking at the competition and, being a competition. It's great. How can we work together? Can we collaborate? Is there something that I'm not, offering that you can offer for my clients? And that's something I love doing with my clients. I don't have the answers to everything.
No.
And I learnt that the hard way. I know I actually called it when I was having my makeup done by Carly, the beautiful Carly, because I don't look this glamorous every day, obviously.
Sure you
but
do.
for camera, right. And I actually call myself a professional slut in the beginning of my business.
Get around.
Wow, I could not help it, but I would say yes to everyone. I can do that. Yes, I can do that. And then I realized that's not my love. That's not my passion. It's not my genius zone.
Yeah, learning to say no. And actually, I'm not the best person for this, but I know someone who is.
Correct.
Instead of having to be everyone for everything, everything for everyone,
That's it.
then instead you're actually more of a connector going, I know someone who can help with that.
Yeah,
who's
I know
better.
a guy.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I love that. And so for you, for your professional development, what do you do?
Definitely hanging around people who give me the right answers. So people like you, Jen, are so valuable in my life. So I'm not part of any networking group at the moment. Soon. But by building my own. But also, just being around like-minded, successful female entrepreneurs who can actually give me solid advice and people you can turn to and go, hey, I'm having a problem with this. How have you solved this? Have you come up against this before? How have you solved this? So asking those questions and not being afraid to, because I know that I'm happy to give those answers. So the people I hang around should be the same, like-minded. Yeah. So helping each other grow.
Yes, definitely. And I love that whole concept of you can't find what you need, you're going to create it yourself.
Yes.
That's
definitely. It's so important because I want to surround myself with people who are going places. I don't want to be having the same conversations over and over again. I want to be surrounding myself with people who are looking for those answers. Like I was saying before, we actually problem solve and go, right, this is how we solve that. Now, next question, let's move on and on to the next thing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
One of your questions was asking about what makes you a great leader.
So I did want to go back to that leadership. Yeah, so what does make you a great leader? Simone of House Mum.
I think for me personally, empathy. So empathy is really important because you have these people that rule, you know, they're at the head of their business and they rule with an iron fist and they're very stern. And I have empathy. And I also encourage my team to be problem solvers. So that's really important to me as well. I don't want to have all the answers, even though I know most of what they're asking me.
Yeah.
I like to point it back to them. How would you solve this? Or we've gone through this before in training. Can you tell me where we need to find the answer? Because that teaches them that they don't always need to come to you for the answers. They can actually be self-sufficient, and it empowers them to find the answers and feel confident in making those decisions themselves. And as far as empathy goes, understanding that I employ mums. I am a mum of 5. I understand what it's like trying to juggle things. It's important to understand and have that empathy of I don't expect them to work 5 days a week, 7 till 7. You know, what can you work? What is the hours that you want to work, and actually giving them the hours that suits them. And so many people are afraid of innovation and, you know, no, this is what we do. They don't bend the rules. This is what my company is. Well, actually, my company is mum friendly. And to do that, I've got to be flexible because then I'm going to attract the right kind of people who want to work for me because they know that I understand their situation and will be flexible towards that.
And setting that tone and that culture, you know, and I feel that as leaders, empathy's big. And I've recently read an article, and I love this part of it, is compassion as well. So compassion, I was speaking to another client about this. It's the action of the empathy. And I feel that that's what you also instill in your employees for themselves too, don't you?
Absolutely.
That it's the problem solving, but also understanding your clients as well.
Absolutely. It goes both ways because we're working with clients who sometimes have sensitive needs going on in their household, and to actually walk in and you are not judging them. They've booked us for a reason. We need to be mindful of we're here to make their life better. We're here to give them a good experience, and we're not here to judge you to make you feel bad for your situation. We're here to support you. And I think that's also helped us in attracting the right kind of clientele as well, because they know, you know, they're busy mums. You know, we've had a client open the door one day. She was breastfeeding her new baby, and she just understood that we would get it.
Yes.
And no judgment here. We're just going to get in, do the job that you need. What do you need from us today? How can we make your life better?
Yep. I've stopped cleaning before my beautiful home assistant arrives now, but I might put things away so that it makes her life easier. But I certainly stop vacuuming before she turns up.
So many people do. They feel like they've got to clean before their home assistant arrives, and that's not what we're about. We're here to give you a good time. Like have an experience, and you're paying for a service. You may as well actually enjoy the benefits of it.
And do you agree with the lead by example as well for you?
Definitely, because I feel that whatever I'm doing, I never ask my team to do anything that I wouldn't do. So for the first 6 weeks of the business, I worked in it on my own before I started hiring people. And I did that because I wanted to know what was fair, to ask of people how long things took.
Yes.
What are clients actually wanting from us? And by doing that now, it means that whatever I'm asking my team, I know that it's fair. It's something that I would be happy to do. And they also know that they're always free to say no if it's something they don't feel like it's comfortable or they feel like it crosses a boundary for them as well.
Absolutely. And I feel for me, when I was in my CEO role, one of the things, I never asked anyone exactly what you said to do something I wouldn't do. And I would actually get in there and reconcile things with the team if we had deadlines. I would take the rubbish out with them. We would clean the kitchen together. I was always in the trenches with them. Yeah. And I do feel that that is a powerful part of leadership is understanding. So the empath, understanding, well, yeah, that is really crappy task, but someone out, you know, has to do it and we have to do it. And so using that collective we term, I find that's definitely a strengthening word. It can be a verb as well. You know, we can do this is definitely part of the my mantra anyway. And it's something I do. When I work with clients, part of my advice is always we, ours, not I. I want you to do this. It's, you know, we can do this together so that our team is successful.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's about, the team focus. And that's what I try and do is I say we call ourselves a family.
Yes.
And we look after each other. And so lead by example is really important.
I love that you said the word family. It's something I'm passionate about in business, is that you feel that's your work family. It's not a replacement, but you really do need to feel like you belong.
Yes.
And belonging, I'm working with another client, and definitely belonging has changed the connection in the team when they feel heard and they do feel like they belong. I find your beautiful home assistants that I have had the pleasure of meeting, a few different ones, they all feel like they belong.
Yes.
So you're very much, that's your onboarding?
Yes,
is that part of your
definitely.
onboarding?
I want them to feel like they're part of something. And I also say to them, a lot of the time you're working alone. So it's hard for them to feel connected, which is why we have that team environment on that page where they can feel connected and even ask personal questions like we are all mums. So, hey, this is happening. Do you know how do we solve this? And so they can feel like they can share those moments with us, even, little things going on in their kids' lives. Back to school, we often post photos of the kids going back to school. So they feel part of something, part of a community, which is, I think, valuable.
Because it's almost like remote workers, isn't it? So that they are, they're going from their home to the clients and not necessarily to your office to collect.
Yeah, definitely.
Bits and pieces.
Like I said, it's like sometimes when we'll have our Christmas party once a year, and if they don't make it to the other 2 events throughout the year, because we try and get together 3 times a year. Sometimes it's only twice, but that third time, usually for the Christmas party, most of us are there, and so some of them I haven't seen for 12 months. Because again, I'm teaching them to be self-sufficient and problem solving. So they may not see me, they may not need to see me. Yeah,
but they know that they can always contact you directly and talk with you.
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome.
I have many after hours conversations, many phone calls.
Yeah, and is that so that you've learnt those boundaries as well? Yes. But does that apply to your staff though?
Yes. Yeah. I always work out what it is we're discussing. Is this a now conversation? I usually say, so Angie, my admin assistant, she used to come to me with things and be like, we need to solve this now. And I said, I've taught her, just because somebody else thinks it's urgent doesn't mean it's urgent.
For your business.
Yeah. Like we have to work out, is this actually a priority? Like, is this a tomorrow problem? Last week, 2 weeks ago, I had a client calling me at 7 a.m. on a Monday morning. And I knew I didn't need to answer that phone call because she had no service booked that day. There was no service. She wasn't booked for like 2 days later. So I knew it was not a now conversation. Yeah. She could wait until 9 a.m. when it was an appropriate time for me to phone her back. So
good for you. Well, that's some good lessons for all of us as business owners.
Definitely, because we feel that urgency where it's not always urgent just because they think it's urgent. Just because we don't pick up the phone doesn't mean they're going to leave us.
I know, but you have that fear when you're first starting off.
Oh,
I certainly did. I was doing emails, 7 days a week.
I was too. And like I'd be up late at night. I'd see a Facebook message come through on the House Mum Facebook page and I'd be like, must reply now. And I'm like, that's not setting those clients up for realistic expectations because down the track now, they think they can contact me whenever they want to. When it's not the case. We wouldn't be texting our hairdresser at 10 p.m. at night or midnight or whatever time it is. Like it's not appropriate. So realizing that we're allowed to have boundaries just because we're small business owners doesn't exempt us from that.
Yeah, that's awesome. What would be, to finish off, one key advice? Oh, you've given so much amazing advice today. But for a mum, that is considering starting their own business, not necessarily as a, house assistant, but to start, it could be marketing or branding or business consulting, what would be one? You gave us the financial advice, but something for them that would be part of their professional development. What do you think?
I think that a very valuable topic here or point to mention is to realize that you don't have to do it all.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people think they've got it, well, I'm a mum, so I've got to give 100% into being a mum and I've got to give 100% into my business. And what's left over for you and what's left over for you if you're in a relationship and what's left over for your friends? There's nothing left. So you actually have to work out what's important and realize that you can't do everything. So what's got to slide? What are you happy to let slide? Is it the housework? By doing the housework, that's not making you money. By you working on your business, that's making you money. That's moving you closer towards your goals. So how can you outsource this or how can you work out that you're not doing it every day? Cut back on, right now I'm not going to wash 7 days a week. Maybe I'll save it up and I'll do the washing 3 times a week instead.
Yes.
You know, get your slow cooker meals on in the morning and actually make sure that you've got dinner that night if you're not wanting takeaway. So planning ahead is a big one as well. And when it comes to juggling childcare, because this is another one, is they feel like, oh, I can't do this because I've got the kids. Like, talk to your friends. You know, talk to your friends who might be working, and now that it's school holidays, you can be like, well, if you've got to work this day, how about we swap? I'll take your kids this day,
amazing.
and tomorrow you take mine.
Yeah.
And so work it out like that. Lean on your friends, use your village, and don't feel like you have to do it all alone, and really lower your standards on where you can, and don't have to have everything at 100%.
Amazing. Such good. There's so much in there. I want to unpack all the little bits and pieces. I know we could talk for hours, but thank you very much, Simone, for joining me on the couch today.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me. Cheers.